hey, Catherine, I got your shingle. And I said, awesome. What do you think? And he said, well, we've all been evacuated because it has leads on it. And they thought it was a bomb. And the shingle has thus been neutralized.
Do you talk about the early days that ultimately led through the 2000s into forming 38 North and how you became aware that this was how you're going to spend your energy and time as a teacher in the industry?
Yeah, that's really interesting to think of it that way, because some of the early things that I needed to do, which I was pretty comfortable with, was taking information from the lab about all the programs and then presenting them before Congress. I had testified before Congress, and I was able to do that because I knew the technologies pretty well. My first intersection with the White House in the Clinton White House was they were trying to figure out about rooftop shingles, and they reached out to NREL, eventually got to me, and I said, oh, yes, we will send you a rooftop shingle because you should see one of these rooftop shingles. They're very cool. A solar shingle.
Solar shingles, right.
It was a solar shingle. I mailed it. I FedExed it to the White House. And the next day I got a call from the guy who was the head of OMB, and he said, hey, Catherine, I got your shingle. And I said, awesome. What do you think? And he said, well, we've all been evacuated because it has leads on it. And they thought it was a bomb. And the shingle has thus been neutralized. And I said, but did you like the shingle? So that was my first interaction with the White House. And I think I've been making up for it ever since. But it was also my first interaction with a solar shingle.
Oh my God. That's a great story. You can't make that story up.
But I really liked that. So then Congress became another puzzle, right? It's like, they're a puzzle, and I just have to figure them out. I have to figure out how each of these people tick, because they all have really different goals. They have different ways of thinking about things, but I'm sure that if I use the right words, the right messages, I'll be able to explain renewable energy in a way that they'll understand.
Right.
And so it was, at that time also, it was a lot more bipartisan. I mean, the chair of the House Science Committee was a scientist. I mean, it's unusual to find. There are a few people who are energy geeks in Congress. But at the time, it seemed more bipartisan. So it was just as easy for me. And I would say it's actually not that hard for me to talk to Republicans or Democrats either way now. It's just that there's a lot more noise out there, probably because of Twitter and everything else, that there's a lot more heat and noise that you have to avoid to kind of get to the, all right, how do I talk to this person in a way that they'll understand, and that they will find some, even if they don't agree with you, just some understanding of, some ability to relate to.